Hey folks, I'm just driving to the office. We're doing a two-part question here. This was submitted at codecommute.com, and that's where you can go to submit questions anonymously. Otherwise, just leave below in the comments. This individual, in the first video, we were just talking through level setting expectations, having this feeling of being compared to another new hire, how to navigate that. So if you're interested, that's the previous video. This one, we're going to be talking about sort of like time and what's a good way to say this? They said it's not a time management thing per se, but like how to focus on skilling up, improving, learning when they have like more restricted time at home. So like outside of work, okay? So there's definitely a bunch of videos on this channel about this kind of thing, but I'm happy to go talk through it again. I always think that it's helpful, this channel is going to have repeat topics like crazy, and I think that's totally fine. I hope you guys don't mind. I think the reality is the more that we talk about these things, the more different perspective, even if it's just me blabbing, because I read your comments after, by the way, and that helps me form different perspectives and opinions too. Maybe sometimes I'm talking about something and I see the comments and I'm like, oh, maybe I didn't convey that clearly, or I'm like, I never thought about it that way. Maybe I'll address it a different way. So I think we might have some of that going on here. But this person was saying they have some life changes that have kind of happened, and that's kind of taking up some time. And I hope I'm not misrepresenting that. I don't want to pull out my phone. If I finish this video when I get to work and I check the email and it's not quite right, I'll just film another one. Hopefully it's helpful regardless. But if you don't have time, okay, so they're in a newer role and they are interested in doing side projects and learning and that kind of stuff, but they're feeling like they don't have the capacity to kind of do that right now outside of work. First of all, I would say that life happens, right? It's like you could put as much effort into trying to structure like a perfect routine where you go do learning on the side. You're going to dedicate X hours a week to side projects or to lead code practice for interviews or whatever. You can do all this kind of stuff, and if that works well for you, then I would highly encourage you to do that, to put some structure into your life so that you can adhere to things. But the reality is that we're always going to have shit that happens in life that's not what we planned for, that disrupts things. And we have to have a little bit of grace and a little bit of empathy towards ourselves for that kind of shit to happen. So I would say that for this individual, I know they're saying it in their email, they said it's not really a time management kind of issue. I need to double check, so maybe I do owe this person another video. But if it's really about clarifying that with their manager, because they're in a new role, hey, I don't have time to go learn about these extra things outside of work, that might just be a clearing up expectations thing with their manager. That's kind of what we talked about at the tail end of the last video, but that might be something to incorporate here, which is hey, usually I'm able to do that right now because I have whatever going on at home. If you're not comfortable with your manager sharing details and stuff like that, don't. I've always said that I try to make people feel as comfortable as possible. I have employees that have shared pretty personal stuff with me that stays with me because they just felt that would help explain stuff that's going on in their life. If that means that they can't attend certain meetings or work's taking a little bit longer or whatever it happens to be, right? I just try to make sure people feel as comfortable as possible to share whatever they feel is relevant. If you don't feel that level of comfort with your manager to explain the details of what's going on in your personal life, then don't. But you could mention to them, hey, there's some stuff going on at home that's that's kind of disrupting what I would normally have for some extra learning capacity, and just wanted to be transparent with you so that over this next little bit I can be upfront about that. We can be on the same page for the pace at which I'm learning and ramping up, and then you could maybe say your expectations from your side like, I don't think this is something that's going to be lasting X period of time. Like, here's, I don't know how much detail you want to go into, but kind of just letting them know this is something that you do like to do. It's just that right now you're unable to. And they might say, like, thanks for sharing, but like, that's totally fine. They might say, thanks for sharing, that's going to make it kind of tricky for the next little bit, but like, we'll figure it out. They might be able to offer you some extra resources at work to, if it's, like a programming language to skill up on, or a tech stack. They might say, okay, well, great, maybe spend a little bit more time with Billy on the team. He can help you, get some questions answered and stuff like that. Or he might have some resources that, you can, I don't know, some people like doing this, like watching like talks or stuff, like as you're working, like kind of have it in the background so you can try to pick up on things. Everyone's different, right? But they might be able to recommend some resources for you. But that's how I would approach that part, is just like, hopefully you feel that you can have a open conversation with your manager about that. From my perspective, just, full transparency, I don't have the expectation that my employees are taking extra time outside of work to learn. I try to make sure that work is structured in a way where they don't have to do that. Let's switch lanes here, sorry. And then it's like, cherry on top if they like learning stuff outside of work and they want to go build things and learn tech stacks and patterns or whatever, and then, be able to bring that back and apply it at work, like, awesome. That's super cool, but not my expectation. At least in the environment that I'm operating in, it's not. I'm trying to think back at a startup, it still wasn't the same. I think the difference is like, this is probably what I would say. I don't have that expectation of individuals that they need to be going to learn outside of work to be able to keep up with the pace of work, because I would like to make sure that I can structure the work that I'm giving them that's level appropriate. If they're brand new to it, I should know that when they're coming in and being hired, right? If their resume, like, I'm just going to give you an example. If we program in C# and their resume is like, I only have Python, right? I'm like, okay, they can probably program in C#. Like, it's not going to be rocket surgery for them, but in the beginning, they're not going to know the syntax. That's going to take some time. That's fine. So I would try to structure work for them that's not like, hey, I need you to go refactor the entire code base, because good friggin' luck if they don't know the syntax, right? Like, so give them work that they're going to be able to chip away at, ramp up, and get comfortable at. But, one sec. But, I think the reality is, if I have set up an environment like that for someone, and we're having a conversation at the pace at which they're working, and that's still not working, then I will have a conversation with them to be like, okay, like, what else do you need from me to help you kind of like ramp up and learn more effectively? We'll try some things out, and it will reach a point where I'm like, hey, look, like, I'm kind of tapping out with my ability to support here. So, like, what needs to happen, right? Like, if there's truly a skill issue, what needs to happen? And I've had, in some cases, people are like, hey, I'm trying to, I do have time outside of work. I'm trying to like play around and like learn some stuff. I've had people in the past that have said that, tried doing it, didn't really pan out. I've had people, where that has helped, but the skill, I don't have like enough data to back this up, but in my experience, the sort of air quotes skill issue has been more just like people not putting in the initiative, unfortunately. So it ends up looking like a skill issue, like I can't get the work done, but what ends up happening is like they're kind of just hitting a wall where they're like, I'm actually not doing stuff. And if you're not doing stuff, then you're not actually practicing the thing that you're trying to learn. Like, so it ends up you know, the symptom looks like skill issue, and there probably is a skill issue, but the reality is like there isn't actually effort going into skilling up despite their, you know, their intentions to do so. So I would just say in general, like, have this conversation with your manager so that you're on the same page as them. But the other thing that I just wanted to kind of round out in this conversation is like, there's, I think most people, maybe not most people, probably a lot of people who watch YouTube videos have probably seen Alex Hormozi. Some people hate him, whatever, that's totally fine. There's some things that he says that I really appreciate, and I think him and his wife have talked about this, like, I've said it on this channel before, this idea of like your life being in seasons. Sometimes there's a busy season, and I would say, back to what I said near the beginning of this video, life happens, right? So instead of looking at things like, I tried to perfect this schedule, and like, I got to get my learning time in, and here's what I'm going to be doing for side projects, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work, and you're like, well, now everything's ruined. Just acknowledge, like, there's always going to be curveballs in life, right? There's always going to be curveballs. I was just telling my wife this when we were just at a concert in Las Vegas over the weekend, which is super cool, by the way. Went to go see the festival's called When We Were Young, so it was like, you know, emo and rock bands from when we were kids. So it was pretty fun. And I was saying to her, like, I don't think I actually said this out loud, but I'm like not feeling comfortable with my body anymore, even though I've been doing CrossFit for just over a year now. Coming from like a bodybuilding world, like I actually don't feel comfortable taking my shirt off. And I don't think I said that to her, but that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, I don't feel good about my body. And so like something's got to change, right? And one of the things that's had an impact on that is my on-call rotation. My on-call rotation, for some of the on-call rotations, I have to do a 6 a.m. till noon on-call rotation. And that's for 2 weeks. But CrossFit is at 6 a.m. So that means 2 weeks where I can't go to CrossFit classes. And then, well, my backup plan is I still have a public gym membership. Is that an Acura NSX behind me? Very nice. But the problem is that on those days, I end up working, like, it's not 6 till noon that I'm working, it's like 6 to 6, because I have meetings in the evening. So by the time I finish the 12-hour day, I don't want to do anything. That's also why, like, I didn't have YouTube videos going out on my main channel over the past couple weeks, because I can't be bothered to do anything when I've worked for 12 hours. So I said, like, something's got to change. So I need to figure out, like, for myself, when I can make sure that I'm, like, walking on a treadmill, I can still go to the public gym. Like, I have to be more conscious about planning this stuff. But something has to change, right? This isn't the rest of my life isn't, like, negatively impacted because of this. It's not something that I need to panic about. But it's something where I'm like, hey, look, like, I don't like how this is going. And what are the things that are in my control? And I would say the same thing to this individual, right? Like, hey, something came up in your life, and I'm sorry if there's some heavy stuff going on. I'm not trying to minimize that, of course. But what parts are in your control? If you don't have time outside of work to go learning and that kind of stuff right now, so be it. That's a temporary thing. Or maybe there's other things you can look at in your priorities, and you're like, I don't need to go to play Frisbee on a team every week or play soccer. Maybe I do want to go practice programming and stuff instead. Like, you can go revisit those priorities. I have no idea what this person does. But, you know, I think the point is, like, kind of be kind to yourself. And if you have a busy season, then you have a busy season. So hope that helps. I'm going to check after to see if I missed some of the other details they were asking for. This person might get 3 videos out of their question, but hope that helps. A little bit of framing. And if you have questions, leave them below in the comments. Otherwise, codecommute.com, you can submit anonymously. And then check out DevLeader on YouTube. I got a bunch of YouTube channels, and hopefully something that I make helps you. Take care.